I dream I know deep up my feelings for you. Watch them grow, perceive, devote.
Hi Alishae, I wanted to come on here to make this more personal. I love you very much, and I hope that this video helps you. Just gives you some more information that you can research for yourself. And I don't want to talk too long because I have included a lot of video clips. And of course, this is not the first place I've been. I've researched so many different treatments, so many different healing modalities, so many different just people who are sharing knowledge, and truly this is what makes sense to me and is helping me to just regenerate my cells and to get well. And I really would like to see you on the road to Wellville. I don't want to see you like I went down the road to Hellville, and now I am trying to correct that, and then I passed on so much to you guys. So if you will take time to watch the video that Dr. Morse did actually on me, the information I gave you on seizures and different types of problems that are interconnected, I think that it will help to put it all together, because yeah, I wasn't well when I was pregnant with you guys, and so you guys now have a lot of growth and healing to do on your own. So I love you again, and I just want the best for you and your life, and for you to reach your full potential. So have a blessed day, and spiritually walk in who you are, not about religion, but about the spirit you are living inside your body. Love you. Namaste, baby.
I have met several young people, teens and early 20s lately. Now, this is interesting. All who have seizures. I was wondering if you could please do a YouTube video on what causes these and how to detox them. I know in babies it is often associated with vaccines, but in teens, what is going on? Much love, Susan. Oh, Steve's sister. Yeah, Susan. I just talked to your brother earlier today. The guy that wrote the book Meg and all the books, and matter of fact, I think Belle, they're working on a movie, Meg movie, right now. But yeah, Susan, you know what? The sad thing is, remember we talked a lot about the fact that these young people are coming in with weak adrenals, weak kidneys, their low blood pressures and all this. So there's several things that you can look at here for seizures in teens. Number one, very low neurotransmitters, which is low blood pressure, low myelin sheaths, and subjected to neurotoxicity. Could be simple marijuana, it could be any other kind of narcotic type of drug, it could be pharmaceuticals, big time. It could be surgeries. It could be pesticides and herbicides. You know, this is part of the problems with going raw. We have to also be careful of the chemicals involved. So anything that's a neurotoxin, and that's what you see in vaccines, thimerosal, the neurotoxin that, and I've got case after case of infants after 4 months, after that vaccine, right into seizures. When you have a society that doesn't look at that and allows these chemicals on the market and allows that and allows their children to be subjected to these things that causes seizures, and that's just part of the picture. Anybody ever seen vaccines going wrong on some of these kids? It's not. It's the most grotesque thing you've ever seen. So there's so much hype around vaccinations. Pharmaceutical companies are just raking this stuff right in, just raking the dough right in. And they're working with the Zeta. They're working on these sort of things. No looking at what viruses are and, of course, the effect. I'm still got that in my mind from someone from Brazil that was saying vaccines were causing the head problems. That sounds a lot more likely than virals. Virals are proteins. They can set up and be nasty in certain ways, particularly if you have weak cells. You know, the weaker your body, the more adhesions protein has to cell membrane walls. But that's all in the event of an immune response, because in the final analysis, to all things on this planet, the strong survive, the weak are basically terminated. And you just have to understand that. You've got to grab your power and win the day. And I know I was talking to this poor girl yesterday that had all this serious, rape and everything in her past. And it's like, you have to pull up and let those experiences go through you. Because if you carry these horrendous problems with us, people have carried these things for lifetimes. That's some of our problem now, is that souls have carried some of these extreme tortures and rapes and stuff for lifetimes. So when you go to detoxify them, they go into emotional detox, because they're detoxing these hidden experiences maybe from lifetimes ago. So when you understand that we are travelers in the world of creation, you've got to understand that we move from one experience to another experience to another experience. We just don't come down and go home. So you start to realize why there is what there is. Cause and effect, you reap what you sow, karma. All starts to fit in like a glove. You start to realize, why is that person suffering? He didn't do anything this lifetime. So everybody suffers for a reason, like this poor girl went through that, but you don't know what that soul did to other people. That's what we don't see. And because one doesn't see that, you can see that spiritually by going to the Akashic records of that person. But as a rule, the average person doesn't know anything about that. And actually, most spiritual people don't know anything about that. So it's enough to say that you can see that, but the best thing is to drop it and go. Drop it and go, because we're all come packing with bad experiences, and we all come packing with good experiences. But these are labels that the mind have given these experiences. We don't looking at the experiences for what they are, and what and why, and all of that sort of thing. So it's tough. This is a tough area. But if you can understand these few things and how to pull back from the mind and emotions, you'll free yourself from the tyranny of this karmic wheel that keeps you spinning down here. Because you've got to pay for everything you create. Remember that. You have to pay for everything you create. To think otherwise is unawareness. And so it's just the way it is. Everybody pays for everything they create. So the more you create, the more you have to stay and pay or experience. We just don't create things and let them hang out in midair. They don't do that. All right. So, these young, and this is why I keep saying with the younger people out here, you want to always think about your adrenal glands. You always want to think about your brain and nervous system. You always want to think about these things, because you guys are the one getting hit pretty bad. We've just come through a major chemical insult to this planet. If you looked at that from the early 19, actually from the first TV, and then you start seeing it escalating more to the 50s, and then above the 50s, we just fell in love with chemistry. The problem with that is we've created chemistry like plastic that won't be off the planet for thousands of years, and it's toxic. So we have good old boy chemists, and then we've had good bad boy chemists. Created gnarly stuff, and the human race has to pay for that. So this is part of the problem, that our scientific community sometimes, to me, is like little children playing with things they don't understand and creating hardships for the globe. Bad stuff. And we just have this, but that's God. Inquiring minds want to know. So, in the young, this is why it's more important that you younger people do not stay away from proteins, stay away from acid food eating. These are all things that can trigger seizures. The adrenal glands are involved in the metabolism of most minerals. The parathyroid, of course, involved in calcium. When you have a client that has a lot of seizures, you're going after the parathyroid gland. You're going after the adrenals for manganese and magnesium utilization. Both of those are low. Seizures can take place. So you don't want to supplement with that. I mean, you could supplement with magnesium. Then you push your calcium out and maybe even a little phosphorus. So the trouble with treating with isolates is that the world isn't isolates. The world is synergistically bound with chemistry. We can pull some apart, but the more you pull apart, the more you open in for more bonding. You just can't break away chemical bonds and not expect rebonding. Oh, no. When you tear food apart, now you've got everything is magnetism, everything is ionization. So you've got a process of rebonding, and that's what you see when you cook foods. You have the rebonding of chemistry, not the same. A cooked vegetable dish is not the same as the same dish raw. Not only energetically, but chemically, not the same. So that's the problem, is that when we start heating, all your water solubles, like your B vitamins, are destroyed, no question about that. Then everything that's oil started adhesing to the proteins mostly. But then you can bond carbs or carbon with nitrogen. I mean, you just start this whole rebonding thing. So to be totally healthy and to keep it simple is you just eat your foods whole. You don't need to supplement. You need to fix the adrenal glands so you have proper metabolism of chemistry. Not that you're trying to play God and supplement chemistry, because you still have adrenals that can't metabolize it. It's like zinc deficiency and selenium. People want to take a lot of zinc and selenium because they read it's this and it's that, it's a savior and all this other kind of stuff. The problem is, until you fix your adrenal glands, you can't supplement and call it a deficiency. Until you fix digestion, you can't call it a deficiency. Until you fix absorption, you can't call it a deficiency. And then thirdly, of course, as you guys know, you can't call it a deficiency until you fix utilization. Once you've fixed all these four processes, digestion, absorption, utilization, and elimination of the waste, then if you're having problems with raw food, you can say, well, maybe my food is deficient, but I've never seen that. So I don't know what to say. These are different levels of consciousness. This is a much higher level than supplementations, of course, by far. Went through that world years and years and years ago. I went through that world even when I owned health food stores. I had my own supplement line made for me. I've always been an entrepreneur that way. But never have we seen regeneration and the healings as the focus that we have now, where we're actually putting the body into the right chemical balance through the proper foods for the physiology of man, and by using botanicals to help clean and to help restore and rebuild genetic weaknesses. I mean, this is just the way it is. And when you see the simple, nice package that God put there, it's been available for man all along. But on working with seizures, I highly recommend our antispasmodic. I use that to try to help them get away from Dilantin and some of these other anti-seizure meds because they're addicting. They actually cause more problems in long-term use than the others. Where the herbal antispasmodics are anti-seizures, but it also is nutritive and healing to the neurons. So you've got the best of all worlds when you're going with that. But I would use an antispasmodic. Further, I would use upper circuit brain and nerve on these children, or these young guys, the gals, depends the age. At that time, I'm going after the kidneys, I'm going after the adrenals, I'm going after the lymph system. I'm going after the system that robs the body of electrolytes, that acidifies the body, that makes the body seize and tremor and everything else. Because tremors, seizures, all of this fall under the acid sky. Same sky everything else falls under. And it's no wonder. How simple is that? We only have two skies to look at. One blue and one dark. I like the blue sky. That's the alkaline side. The dark sky of corrosion is the acid sky. And that's how I would go after this. And remember that a diet of fruits and berries, especially the young ones, the diet of fruits and berries and melons will enhance their comprehension and their awareness. They're antispasmodic in and of themselves. Anything base is going to be antispasmodic. Anything acid is going to be spastic. And of course, the concern is neurotoxins. You want to look around where if you have clients, where are they getting neurotoxins from pesticides or herbicides? Is it the perfumes? There's a lot of ladies' perfumes that are neurotoxic. A lady can walk by me and suddenly I get short of breath and I know she's wearing a neurotoxic perfume. So there's a lot of neurotoxins. This one chemist was in here last year telling me there was over 2,000 neurotoxins in the air right now. It's like, what? So that's, this is serious stuff. Man doesn't take it serious, and yet he's dying like flies. Amazing. Thanks for the question, Susan. Appreciate it much. It was a good class. I thought it was a good class. Appreciated you come. This level 1 was a good class. I thought we had fun at the Organic Superman. Yeah, my friend, listen, is this your sister? My sister. Get your sister on these YouTubes and have her get her act together, because, some people are just not, they don't love themselves enough. They're looking too externally. There's a lot of reasons, I suppose, why people don't take care of themselves or want to. But it's your sister, and I've got a chance to know you a little bit, Organic Superman, so I put my arms around my sister and say, love you, honey, let me show you what I found. This is what you need to do to get well. And you can still play on the side. You don't have to give up for those people that think they have to give up everything, you don't have to give up everything. Everybody has a different agenda, different reasons they tear into it. Those that tear it apart are going to be your best healers. No question about it. But not everyone wants to be a healer, okay. But those are those that you do, you've got my backing 10,000%, and I'll walk right with you, because you know what we need to do to this world. And we're going to start with giving the Supreme Court justices a good colonic. Then we're going to put them in jail for a while, except for the four, the ones that know about the Constitution. The rest of them are going to send them back to school to learn the Constitution. In the meantime, all the governmental people, you're fired. Out. Get out. Obama, pack, run, go. It's time. You just can't keep going down this road. And then the sad thing is, this is all about allopathy. This is all criminal. This is all allopathy. And no such thing as a tax. Matter of fact, the Supreme Court went behind their past decisions talking about direct and indirect taxes. You guys will learn a lot if you live in the States, if you're looking at the Supreme Court and what they said about the healthcare program being a tax. Now you're into what I've been involved in the IRS, and learning about taxation in America. What's legal, what's not legal, what they've been getting away with. And the Supreme Court made itself look like a bunch of little kids that are political instead of good, strong, smart, constitutional people. So these guys need to be kicked out of there, and let's clean this America's slate up. My little comment for the side. Yeah. Oh, that's Huckabee. Get that little comment there, and then off to the show. All right, Serge, greetings to you, my friend. One of my good friends' 6-year-old daughter recently started experiencing seizures. Jesus Christ. I've said this about the kids, and I just feel so sorry for these kids. Well, the problem is 6 years old, you're in the hands of allopathy. And allopathy, of course, is the problem on the planet. So we're expected to force to pay a healthcare system ran by allopathies who can't cure nothing. So, 6 years old, first of all, she's going to have big-time kidney and adrenals. Go after those adrenal glands and get her kidneys filtering. That'll start mineral utilization. At the same time, give her a little parathyroid, a glandular, just a little bit. And perk up with the CalMag in it, the Calma Plus. It'll perk up her parathyroid, get calcium utilization in this little young girl. I've got an antispasmodic. It's an herbal antispasmodic, and what it does is for seizures, spasms, pain, all these spastic type conditions. I would use that on a regular basis with her because it does strengthen the autonomic nervous system as well. At the same time, I would definitely do upper circuit brain and nerve, In case she's got brain lesions, anything going on in that way, it'll actually strengthen the nervous system and the myelin sheaths. It'll actually move blood better in the brain, and I would work with that. At the same time, detox her lymphatic system, because it's the acid side of chemistry that's moving in and sucking out her electrolytes. And then she's going to seize with that. And so, boy, I would just head on down this way. So far, she's experienced 2 seizures in the span of 4 months. The seizures last about 15 to 20 minutes. Get on that neuromuscular spasm. I would call in today if we can get this up. She has taken to the emergency room each time. This is you should have called in Jennifer on this one. This is a case where it shouldn't be ran through YouTube. I mean, it's good to talk about it for all the healers on YouTube, but at the same time, this is a stat situation, in my opinion. Emergency room each time she received a series of medical tests, blood tests, CT scans. Well, now they're going to give her brain cancer with all the CT scans. And so far, the doctors have not been able to find anything wrong with her. Whenever she experiences seizures, she has high fevers of approximately 103. Well, 103 is not a high fever for a child. I can just tell you, at her age, she can go up to 104, 105. But it does show you that she's probably having calcium utilization problems. It could be manganese or magnesium as well. A hair analysis might help with this young girl in showing the toxic levels. And remember, she's probably had some vaccines at this age, so she's got some neurotoxicity involved here. Detox, detox, strengthen, strengthen. So go after what I just said. Use the antispasmodic to control the seizures. They probably have her on Dilantin or something anyway, but I would definitely go the herbal way, because then you're going to strengthen the myelin sheaths. At the same time, get into her adrenal glands, see what her blood pressure is. She could have extremely low blood pressure. So really want to go after this case. This is a time where you need one of our helps. Jennifer in particular with this one will help you. I suspect that the reason she experienced seizures that most likely due to neurotoxins. Possible. Real possible. And especially on top of an already weakened nervous system. You know, at 6 years old, you guys are getting a good drift of what we're facing in society. And the medical doctors have no clue. But we're going to be forced to pay for them. Okay? I don't get that. From various sources, most probably, you're right on, man. I love you guys. You guys are getting your... You can't lie to humans anymore. It's going to be hard for this world to dish out what they've been dishing. I also suspect that since she's experiencing fevers, this might be detox response by her body in an attempt to clear up. Yes. Now, keep her cool down with a cold washcloth, nape of the neck, forehead, cool bath or something like that. You can keep it down to 101 if you want. Children this age love 104, 105. But if she's seizing with this, she's extremely dehydrated, meaning she's highly acidic, meaning that her lymph system and her adrenal glands ain't getting it. And that means her myelin sheath is weak. And then with what you said, with the neurotoxicity of vaccines, absolutely, you guys got it down. Love it. Now, we also have good tools. God gave us a ton of tools. So, good deal. Attempt to clear up some toxins. You got to detoxify your little girl and keep her cooled down, because just what you said, in a detox situation, the body's naturally going to take up the fevers, because what's your largest eliminative organ you have? Your skin. Your skin. So obviously, this little girl's body's trying to clean itself, but because she's so dehydrated, it's flipping her into seizures. Or she has a weak parathyroid. Again, you go after all these things. Since I don't see your eyes or anything, we go after all these things anyway. That can't hurt. And you go after all these areas anyway. Make sure she's utilizing calcium. Make sure her adrenals are producing the neurotransmitters. Get up in the brain and nerve. Enhance the CNS. You're really going after all these areas. And then you're going to bring her out. She's going to be a healthy little girl. You're going to correct her genetic weaknesses, and on you go. Remember, she's your little girl. So whose genes does she carry? Yours, your wife's, or your husband's, and your family's. But just a little deeper. Just enough to be a little deeper to throw her into seizures. Since this is a significant problem, I am still a relatively new practitioner of this detoxification regeneration protocol. I'd greatly appreciate it if you could provide us some feedback. You betcha, Serge. And call Jennifer if you need any more help with this, your daughter here. Your good friend's daughter. And get him to watch this video. And don't walk with fear with this young child. Go in and clean and rebuild this child. You're right, spot on, Serge. That's what I like about you guys. This is, oh, thanks. This is Pat. Hey, Pat. Love to you too, my dear. My niece, now this story, I just picked this up, and this was the first one out of my basket back there, and I started reading this, and I'm going, oh my God. So I was reading it to some of the staff, and you know, this is the sad things, but this turns out, this I think can turn out real good for this girl. My niece, who is 23 years old, has got epilepsy. She got her first seizure at the age of 13. At age 20, she was out windsurfing and had a seizure and drowned. I didn't read on for a minute because my jaw just fell to the floor. And then she was rescued in time. Aha! Pat, you scared us. But was in a coma for 5 weeks. She went through rehab, etc., and thank goodness all is intact, except she has lost her confidence and self-esteem. Well, I can see why, though, Pat. And she doesn't know when she could go into something and really affect her life. So let me finish this up, and then we'll talk about this. Her seizures are more frequent now, and this is very debilitating for her. She cannot study for 2 or 3 days after a fit. Yeah, she's lucky she doesn't lose any function, depending on which brain. What can we do to cure her? Thanks, Pat. Love you too, dear. Listen. First of all, get the antispasmodic. That's a great formula. And I don't care if you have to give her a dropper full every 3 hours to regulate this. But it's great for epilepsy, seizures, things like this. The next thing you're going to think about as you're moving this, you're going to move her on a raw food program. No question about it. You remove any neurotoxins, excitotoxins, heavy metals, things like that. We're going to clean that body out. At the same time, we're going to look at the parathyroid gland. We're going to kick up the parathyroid gland. Why? Calcium utilization, low calcium, seizures, depression, things like this. So we're going to go with the calciums. You got to hit the adrenals. Why? All right, the utilization of the minerals. A lot of seizures and things come from magnesium or manganese deficiency. It's not deficiency, it's a lack of metabolism, which is adrenal steroids. There are mineral corticosteroids for magnesium and manganese. So we're going to hit the adrenals. And what else about the adrenals? The autonomic nervous system. So we're going to kick the adrenals up, and it's going to kick up more neurotransmitters. So we're going to go into the kidneys. We're going to go into the lymph system. We're going to go into, because why is she getting worse? Because her lymph system getting worse. Remember, when you see an instigator of symptomology, 9 times out of 10, you're going to use the word acidosis. And when you use the word acidosis, remember there's only 2 sides of chemistry. So you're going to go with the corrosive side, obviously, in most cases. Now, we can look at alkalosis, but you've got to have a lot of blood work and really look at the pHs of everything to be able to term alkalosis. And quite frankly, most of the issues is acidosis. So you're going to acidosis, of course, robs chemistry, coagulates, dehydrates, and of course can throw a person into neurological spasms, tremors, seizures, convulsions, blah, 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 blah. Now, upper circumbrain and nerve. She has brain lesions or not, it doesn't matter. You're going to get up in here and you're going to hydrate, and you're going to clean acid and mucus out of the head. It'll clean it out of the pituitary, the hypothalamus, the whole head area, that anything that could smack of creating a spasm or seizure. So upper circumbrain and nerve for sure. So if you take off down that road, you deworm. You always deworm. You never know. So you want to deworm your clients always. You would deworm this young lady, and at the same time you're deworming her, she's on an antispasmodic, she's on upper circumbrain and nerve, you're moving blood aggressively up in the head, you're also feeding the nervous system, you're strengthening the myelin sheaths and the neurons. Secondly, you're starting to pull the acids and any a neural toxin that she might have gotten from a vaccine or anything else, or breathed in or put on her skin through makeups or whatever. You're going to be pulling this out of them. So at the same time you're cleaning all the instigators that can happen in that, you're also bringing a balance to chemistry by increasing digestion, absorption, and most importantly, utilization. And of course, you're going to address the parathyroid because you want to make sure that your daughter's utilizing calcium. And Pat, I would go fruits, berries, and melons, maybe a salad at night. But I'd get up higher because these are antacids and anti-inflammatories and anti-seizure. All these kind of foods like that. Fruits and berries are anti-seizures, antispasmodics. So let me know how she's doing, Pat. But you can pull her out of that for sure and get her strength, her emotional. She'll probably have a little adrenal kick, but her emotions will get clean and she'll become strong because she's fixing her problems, and because they're just going to get worse. Nothing gets better unless you fix them. If you treat them, you've got the option of getting better for a short time and then visiting hellville big time. That's the problem. And you see this with medical treatments with pharmaceuticals. Temporary in the subacute and acute stages, not in the chronic. Nothing works in these stages much. But in these lower stages, they were confident that pharmaceuticals was the answer. And then we're all realizing how bad pharmaceuticals are, and that they never cured anything in the first place. It was an illusion cast over the populace, that sort of thing. Now, here's a big question on top of this, guys. Is this lady short or tall? Or just perfect? Who knows? But if she's short or tall, that would pull your attention up to her pituitary, shutting down or affecting the thyroid, parathyroid, and then down to the adrenals. Now, you can have the thyroid and parathyroid weak, absolutely, genetically, and have the pituitary down genetically. Absolutely you can. Any mix is up for grabs. That would be the worst case scenario, because that would mean your endos individually would be weak, and then the pituitary, which controls them, would be sitting down on them and suppressing their function or hyperstimulating their function, either one. Occasional migraines, painful periods. Yeah, you know what? I'm up at the thyroid, parathyroid gland here, pituitary gland here, absolutely, with all this, burping after all foods, even after just water. So yeah, you want to take a look at that. I would be interested in looking at pancreatic, probably over gallbladder. But get a picture of your eye. That's, this is where you really get to see what's really up. Are we talking about pancreas, gallbladder? Do you have high-level sulfur in the gut? That sulfur can create a lot of burping and belching and gas and bloating, and then, of course, extreme fungal problems. So, and a lot of people are full of fungus. So this is the beauty of iridology. You can see your own body and others, and you can see what's wrong with the colon. Oh, I've had a pain down here for years. Well, that's your lower descending bowel, and look, right there's the spot you're having pain with. That's the beauty of it. But if you didn't have anything to diagnose yourself with anything, can you still fix yourself? Well, of course. You don't have to have a name on anything. You just get yourself on raw foods, get yourself on herbs, because we're not after diseases. That's insanity. That's the biggest shame the medical doctors have ever created. So it's not about that. So everything literally can be turned around if you turn around your lifestyle. Remember, who starts this out for you? Mom and Dad, and Mom in particular. Why? Lymphatics. Your lymph system and blood systems are hooked right to her. So she's not filtering lymphatically. Guess who ain't either? That explains why you see tumors in infants. It helps you to understand why you see what you see out there. With the medical thinking, you don't understand any of it. And that's too bad, because not understanding at the level that children are at right now, and tumors in the eyes and brains and everything, not a good combination, because they don't know anything but to go after it with chemo. They're steadfast in the ignorant side, academically up there, but remember, sometimes that brings a world of ignorance. And so this is a sad combination. This is why it is so vital that we get out there and we establish ourselves as a vital modality and start saving these children and show the world just what health is all about. And you guys are doing it. Frequent urination. Okay, so, here we go. Now, whenever someone's giving us all their symptoms, you can always go to the kidneys and adrenals. Always. Why? Because they are the main Now we can go to the skin too, and if your thyroid is down, your skin is down. If your adrenals are down, your kidneys are down. Well, when your skin and kidneys are down, they're the eliminative organs of metabolitic or cellular waste, which are acids. So, the retention of acids creates what? Acidosis. And so what's the body's response to acidosis? Inflammation. When it's on the outside of a cell, when it's interstitial around the cell, in the lymph fluids, in the sewer fluids. When the sewer fluids back up, acidosis interstitially, you see the inflammatory response and all this stuff. Get acids in a cell that can't get out, and then you know what happens with that. They call that a cancer cell. But frequent urination would take me right down. She has low libido, so I emit the glands. You have low endocrine gland function. That's why you have low libido. The kidneys are down, frequent urination, both progesterone and estrogen much lower than a norm. So you're going to where for that one? That's your answer right there. You go to the adrenals. That's your estrogen. That's going to be more systemic estrogen. Ovarian estrogen, I've always said this, is uterine estrogen, not systemic estrogen. In your adrenal, fat cell, and liver estrogens are for your systemic issues. And so this all kind of fits in there, honey, because you're low energy, you're tired all the time, you can't seem to rest and get that back. And I submit to you, you've got at least two things hitting both of those, particularly the adrenals, number one, thyroid, number two. But then there's parathyroid here involved, and I'm just telling you, with so much endos involved, I got to pull myself up and say, is that pituitary? Are you okay up there? So you have to think about these things. How do you get up here? Upper circulations? Absolutely. Brain and nerve formulas? Absolutely. They're for neurons. So all of this is neurons. So it's like, hey, all right. So it starts to pick up the weaknesses. Remember, herbs have all their bodies to them like you do. That why would God create an herb that's useful for the human body if it wasn't meant to be used by the human body to fix it? When you get away from that in the medical world, it's kind of sad when you get into the pharmaceutical jargon and the death rates and the maiming that pharmaceuticals do and what the use of antibiotics has actually done to the human race on the negative side. Well, look at this. All right. So, some spider veins. Where are we at? Connective tissue parathyroid? Yep. All right. Hands down. Bruises easy. Petechia. Heck yeah, honey. You got parathyroid. Oh, yeah. No. You want to stop this? She's got cellulite, she says, and blemishes. Bruises easy. Nah, you don't want that. That's the next door to aneurysms, and that's connective tissue, so that can be herniations and aneurysms and all the stuff you don't want to hear about. So, and that's depression and things. So you want to tone and tighten, but you want to go through that parathyroid. All your endos sound like they're down. I'm going to say that you're probably going to work on your pituitary here. Both progesterone and estrogen, okay, no motivation, thinking constantly, brain fog, can't relax, can't handle any stress, irritable. That's your endos. That's all your endocrine glands, honey. So, to turn things on, you want to turn things on, you generally go over to the wall switch and flip a switch, right? That's the electrical department. So why would we think any less of our foods? And when we look at our foods must be electrical. When you're eating cooked dead foods and your adrenals and thyroids and everything is down, how do you get to feel better? What are you doing to make yourself feel better? Nothing. Because you remember the law of homeostasis. So you're eating foods that are magnetically much lower than you are. You know, cooked vegetables are probably around 1,000 angstroms. When you look at the human being at 5,500, you probably have a lot of acidosis and deterioration in you. So you need about 6,500 angstroms of a human body radiating energy to be halfway smiling. So when you eat cooked food that's down about 1,000, you see what happens? A law. Remember spinning a wheel at 100 mile an hour and spinning a wheel here at 10 mile an hour? I put them together. They'll each start spinning the same, law of homeostasis, but the fast one slows down and the slow one speeds up until they can find that harmonious balance. So The first thing off is change your diet to living electrical foods. Vegetables take so much digestive energy for humans because we don't have the digestive tracts and stomachs of herbivores that fruit is our electricity. Fruits, berries, and melons. So that's why we push that. They're electrical. But electrical, remember quantum physics. Energy has intelligence. Ho, ho, ho. So when you're eating food, you're eating intelligence. Did you destroy that intelligence before you ate it? In others, pick and eat. Now you're eating that thing vibrating, has the consciousness, the karma for you, because that's why it's here. Its mission is for you. It's here to love you. And man's got to get with that. Man's got to taste that spiritual side of life. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's really good. It makes me have love for everybody. It makes me understand more about the ups and downs of life. But right off, you can see this poor soul dealing with a lot of endocrine gland problems, brain fog. So upper circuit, brain, and nerve would be my focus. Then I'm after the kidneys, the adrenals. I'm after the lymphatic system. I'm after the GI tract. Did I miss anything? I'm going to kill a few worms, but if you do have a lot of fungus causing this burping and stuff, a lot of sulfurs and stuff, the chances of you having high fungal problems is up. So you want to know, that's why we have Parasite M and Parasite G in the first kit. It really wouldn't hurt to do that first kit twice, because if you see anything that looks like a parasite, you want to go back to Parasite G and do like 4 capsules 3 or 4 times a day. You want to go after that. Oh, this is a spiritual wave rider. I like that. You can ride the waves of creation, but then you can wake up to who the wave rider is. You know, it's one thing to ride the waves, to travel out of body. It's another thing to know who the out-of-body traveler is. Yeah. Thank you for being you and for sharing your wisdom with all of us. Love you, man. Love you, love you, love you. I thought at one time I was pretty healthy. Ooh, as a gymnast. Ooh. Yeah, I was watching that on the news last night. I can't remember her name. The mother years ago was a gymnast, and now her daughter is. Boy, to jump up in the air and to do what, triples and stuff like that? What? That's amazing. Growing up, etc. But through the years I found out that this was so far from the truth. You know, and that's the thing. Sometimes a person looks real pretty on the outside and not so much on the inside, you know what I mean? I am 40 years young. I like this lady already, with 5 kids. Wow, is this a lady, I think? I don't know, I'm assuming it is, but maybe not. 5 kids? Well, right there's your problem. I have been ripped, as you referred to it in some of your spiritual videos. Yeah, well, if you want to know God, you know, that's what it asked me. It yanked me out of my body one night. I was just trying to have a simple out-of-body experience, relaxing. This hand grabbed me, ripped me, literally out of my body, and threw me up like in the middle of the heavens. And I'm just like trying to get some semblance of awareness now. Something that powerful, pretty powerful. And then it says, so you want to know God, huh? And the next thing I know, all my past lives, all the pictures started going. And the next thing I know, it dropped me. The next thing I know, I hit the bed so hard, like that, my body flew out of the bed, and I was on the floor. And all I could think of was, yes, I do. And from then on, a little bit of ripping. You can call it the dark night of the soul if you wish, But I've said this to you many times, hang on to something in the material worlds and it'll be ripped from you if you want to know the ultimate. If you want to know the ultimate, then you can't exist anymore as the small self. It's still there, but you can't identify with that because you want to identify with the infinite. That is total freedom. That means you can't hold on to nothing, honey. Nothing. Not even yourself. And that brings a whole bunch of different situations to you, because try not caring for anything, but the divine love comes in for everything. It's hard to describe that. This ripping pang of karma, has been what has made me really dig deep to question everything. Yep, absolutely. Creation is the drama, the dharma. Creation is simply the actors playing on the stage of duality. That's all it is. We are simply here playing with a vehicle in the worlds of duality. We can call it in chemistry base and alkaline. We can call it positive and negative. We can call it yin and yang, female and male. Who cares what you call it? Life bounces between these two poles. It's called magnetism. And so that's what moves life. That's what creates activity. At one level, it's pure chemistry and physics. At another level, it's thought. At another level, it's emotions. That's the driving force of it all. So it's interesting. And all these levels you've got to give up, because you want a level of awareness which is beyond thought, which is beyond emotions, which is beyond vehicles. Awareness has no form to it. So you can't identify with form. Oh, here comes two guys that really need some help. Ooh. You see them coming in out here, boy, you can tell these guys need some help, brother. It's made me really dig deep to question. Yeah, and matter of fact, don't question. Don't even ask why. Because that very question is mental. Doesn't matter anymore. It is always going to be what it's going to be. Going to be what it's going to be. Absolutely. And since it hasn't killed me, there, see? I'm not going to kill you. I've chose to allow it to make me stronger. Is this a woman or a man? Sheer bear? Looks like woman's eyes. Eyelashes, though. Well, don't matter. One way or another. You know, that's what life's about, to make you stronger. To make you become more awake and become the creative dreamer yourself. There's all levels of fun that you can have once you wake up more and more and more. And you're free from that. You can be free from your movie, but still have the movie go on. Long story short, I lost pretty much everyone and thing that I once held dear. And no, I am working on me. Yep, that's the way it is. I lost all my friends too, and I lived as a hermit in the woods. You know, you're the doorway. Christ said it, Buddha said it, all the spiritual giants said it. You are the living truth, but not physically, not mentally, not emotionally. These are tools that you use to play and have fun with, or not. But that isn't the you. That isn't the consciousness or the awareness behind the tools. And to find that, you have to let the tools go. Sometimes it's called Dark Night of the Soul, or what is it, the viewer on the threshold, or whatever. The great divide between thought and awareness. Raising my consciousness and standing in my sovereignty, as I don't want to play around anymore. A lot of you are here at that point. That's why we connect with each other so much, because I'm here to help you over. Let go. Get over on the conscious awareness side. Have the bodies, play with the bodies, all right, get them healthy so you're not suffering, but wake up. and you will be free from creation. And then you can decide what you want to do. But this is just a good example of some of the ripping. If you can let go, you don't always have to lose. In other words, if you don't care whether someone runs over your car, then you don't have to lose it. If you don't care anymore, then they don't have to rip it from you. Hard not to care without getting a little ripped. That's the nature of the beast. We own. We want to own. Really? You don't own nothing, honey. You come in here, you play, and then you're out. Nothing bringing in and nothing taken out. Oh, I think Sai Baba could manifest something astrally, they claim, but I was sickly as a child, had a slight speech impediment in kindergarten, first grade. I was molested in third and fourth grade. Took lots of antibiotics for diagnosis of bronchitis. These guys, you know what, these guys, they're part of those negative forces that set us all up for negative experiences, aren't they? Mono, yeah, well, right there you knew you had kidney and adrenals right there. There's the adrenals right there in mono. You know your lymphatic system was a mess. Matter of fact, neurologically you had some problems there, probably from the adrenals and kidneys. Enlarged liver and spleen. I was in bed fourth grade. Wow, boy, you really had lymphatic problems back then. But you were a gymnast. That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, right there, enlargement, hypertrophy, enlargement. What makes things enlarge? Acids, not alkalis. Those are your electrolytes. Acids, acidosis, creates edema or agglomulation. Either way you want to look at it, creates swelling and enlargements, hypertrophies. Whether it's the prostate, the ovaries, the liver, the spleen, the heart, does it matter? No. Brain. Every tissue in the body is prone to the same thing. It's part of the inflammatory response. To what? Acids. Only two sides of chemistry. Experience a weak bladder. Not fun as a gymnast, I bet. But right there shows you that your urinary tract right there, bladder, and you can move right on up to the kidneys. That's where the problems were that created all the other problems. So you got to go to the cause. And the cause is going to always be faulty elimination. What you don't eliminate, you accumulate. It's just one of my old sayings. What you don't eliminate, you accumulate. Make sure you want to accumulate acid sewage in the body. Because if you don't filter in the kidneys, you're going to accumulate. Medical doctors, get with it. Quit hurting people over the ignorance of that. It's simple sewage 101. What you put down the sewer pipes needs to come out the sewer pipes to the septic tanks. What's the septic tanks in the body? Lymph nodes. Hello. You can cut out a septic tank. Yeah. And how many houses are going to break down because of that? Stupidity. Yep. Lipedema at first, and then the breakdown of the cell second. Ooh, constipation, lots of fear that stifled my gymnastics career. Well, right there we're into the adrenals, the autonomic nervous system, probably malabsorption because the kidneys were down. That would stiffen the bowel wall even more. Yeah, here we go. In fifth grade, my grandma's dog tripped me and I hit my occipital lobe and I received a concussion. I suffered from depression and feelings of anger. Ooh. So here we go. Now you might even tie this into a pituitary issue here, but we know we have a parathyroid. Here's depression, right? We know the adrenals are very much involved here. And this person was still a gymnast. That's pretty cool. But a lot of things. You know, I find it rare that a spiritual being doesn't have adrenal weakness. The emotions. You know, the intellectual, Twitchell used to talk about that, how the intellectual had a hard time entering the gates of heaven because of the mind was so powerful, that the more emotional individual had an easier way of it. And if you think about it, you know, anger was the enlarged liver, of course. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism at age 17. Are we surprised? Here's parathyroid depression. Well, here's thyroid, so here we go. That would be a stretch, so that would be easy to understand. Now, could we be facing some pituitary here? I was on levothyroxine for over 15 years. I had a breast reduction at age 19. Interesting. So we could have some pituitary issues going here, growth hormones a little bit too much at first, or adrenals. I am whoa, here we go. I'm 5'1". No, we know hands down pituitary. So here we go. We got a pituitary case here that's shut down, and a thyroid parathyroid weakness. So we got those. Here's the adrenals. The pituitary can shut down all four of those, on top of those being weak of their own. So here we've got a lot of endocrine gland work to work on. Got to get the glands moving and working on the endocrine glands, absolutely. My whole family is pretty much the same in height and suffers from arthritis, scoliosis. There we go. Look at how all this fits. Isn't it fun to finally have the fingers fit in a perfect glove? The answers to everything. Here you go. The family of scoliosis, arthritis, of course, so they have high acidosis. They're leaching calcium out of the body. The scoliosis because the body can't put it back, so their spine is twisting. Absolutely. Slump hump, upper back, absolutely. All involved in parathyroid. Here's hypothyroidisms here. Thyroid issues, weight issues, absolutely. Here we got lymphatic issues, malabsorption issues. All fits. And the genetic line just keeps going down. Now, this individual has 5 kids. Now, she hasn't mentioned postpartum depression here, but I'm assuming there had to be some. So remember, Andrea Yates drowned 5 of her babies because she had extreme postpartum depression. They don't know how to fix postpartum depression. They still think it's a mental health issue. When we all know better, it's a parathyroid issue. My doc believed I had lupus at age 28 and 2 miscarriages. Aha! What caused her miscarriages? Aha! Confirmation of more pituitary, guys. Confirmation of more pituitary. She probably had irregular menses too. All of this goes with pituitary weaknesses. I opted out of the test because when I had asked him if he was going to cure me, he replied that he was going to treat the symptoms. What did I do with my water? I left it somewhere. Well, that already rang a bell in you already, so you're already a spiritual individual. I wasn't happy with his answer and had grown more and more discontented with similar responses related to me having miscarriages. But you have to understand, they don't know causes of things. They have not the awareness to map that out. No offense, but those lost in the academic mind are lost. And that's a problem. We revere that, do we really? We revere the academic mind. Be careful what you revere and what you ask for, because it could get you more lost in creation. And that is not where you really want to be if you want to be free, happy, joyful, and have a sense of godliness and know who you are and where you came from. I don't believe this is normal, as a couple of them stated. I don't believe this is normal. Well, probably not to have miscarriages. I have had 2 first trimester miscarriages after giving birth to 2 healthy girls, followed by 2 more after my 3rd healthy daughter was born 5 years later, prior to having 2 sons. Holy man, don't you know what creates these problems? These miscarriages in my journey in getting a master's in counseling made me start to question things. Good. Question everything, but then don't question anything. You know, you have 2 things. You want to use observation as your tool, not thought. And take everything back to the wall where you can't ask any more. Get into chemistry. Go all the way back to chemistry. You can't. I mean, how basic is acid, 2 sides of chemistry? How basic is the elements? How basic is the atoms that make up the elements? How basic is the subatomic particles, the electrons, protons, and neutrons circling around, the electrons circling around the nucleus with the protons, so you have the alkali circling around the acids. How you can go back into the nano levels and nobody's lost, everybody's lost there. So you're back to the very basics of subatomic, atomic, into the elements, into the particles or into the substances and forms and things like that, all the way up into big forms and stuff like that. Take it all the way back if you have to. And then the nature of each side of chemistry. What's the nature of acids? What do they do? What do they cause? What's the effect of acids? What's the effect of alkalis? You know, at each level of pH, there's a different effect. Can't say that we know all of that, but who cares? You can have fun with it after you wake up, but if you play with it before, you get more lost. So you use observation because you have to put it together like a jigsaw puzzle. You want to put it all together how it works. You don't have to know that the kidneys, you don't have to have the pathway in the body to the kidneys to know that the kidneys are the eliminating organs to that. It's kind of like the duct from the small bowel to the gallbladder that's not on current charts but exists in old charts. You know, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes the too intellectual mind, things are hidden, things are not there. I mean, they're just discovering the lymphatic system in the brain, the University of West Virginia. So when you think they know it all, oh, what, we're finding new tissue? Really? So you have to step back a little bit and understand a little how sewage works. You know, each side of chemistry, the effect of that, how the body needs to get rid of this sewage. You can't just dump it back into the kitchen. Oh, simple things like that. Of course, it took me a few years to put it all together, too. I'm still pretty steeped in indoctrination of religion and education. Well, undo that. It's only you that can undo it. You know, and you can't undo the mind with the mind. You have to get out of the mind to undo these, because the mind is already conditioned, indoctrinated. You have the causal mind, which has as much storage as you could possibly want. So everything you've ever experienced is still in you, in the mind. As consciousness, that's what you want to wake up. Wake up means you become awake, a conscious. That's not a thought-driven experience. It's not an emotional-driven experience. It is awareness, which has no beginning and no end. Pshoop! It is a high feeling and understanding and knowingness of the now, of the present. No duality exists in awareness. There isn't time tracks. There isn't the past. There isn't the future. Everything is new in every moment. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's at age 36 before never going back to my doc again, as he placed in my chart that I failed to follow doctor's orders. When I had switched from levothyroxine to natural thyroid via my ND at the time, see, and that's what's disgusting. The medical doctor should have initially put you on Armour, and the naturopath should have put you on a glandular and looked at the pituitary influence, because you're a perfect a questionnaire. You're a perfect health questionnaire that lays out the problem right here. You're 5'1", you have miscarriages, you can go probably with irregular menses at times, you can go into the pituitary, maybe enlarged breasts, you can go right into the pituitary for growth hormone problems, all types of things there, parathyroid for depression, scoliosis, and all of that. You can see all that going on, arthritis, all of that is all heavy lymphatic stagnation, acidosis. You're a good roadmap to helping a naturopath understand, but only if you're a naturopath that's awake, that has been taught. A naturopath are as closed-minded as his medical doctors. A lot of them, most of them actually. He has placed, the ND had me take UNDA while I saw her. At age 38, my thyroid test reviewed zero functioning above my 5th son being born. I do not see any docs and haven't for years. All right. I believe that my adrenals, kidneys, pituitary, transverse bowel, GI tract, etc. Yeah, now we got a lady who's getting it. Need to be totally regenerated. I'm on your side. I think now you're getting it. But you might want to add parathyroid in that, honey, and thyroid. And the transverse bowel is exactly right on. This is where all the stuff hits the brain, is transverse bowel, always. It gets prolapsed, spastic, pocketed, degenerative, what I call the toxic tunnels. Would the first kit be a good place to start? It always is for me. But I would like upper circ, brain, and nerve. I would say after the first month of getting everything moving, I would put you on a pituitary and a parathyroid to boot together. And I would run you for a month, take off a month, and put you right back on that again. Depending on what I saw in your eye, how bad is the transverse, and do you have sleep problems like, well, not just sleep apnea, that's lymphatic, but insomnia or something like that. Because every time you see the pituitary, you generally always see the pineal gland as well. But you're right, you have to clean up the gut to clean up the brain. You can't just go up to the brain and say, I'm going to fix the brain. It doesn't work that way. I look at the body as stacked. And if you had this as many years as I have and seen as many people as I have through the years, you can see that as the tumors have been stacking. Now there's so many brain and throat tumors. Used to didn't see that. They were all mid-body, mid-torso and below. But now, boy, Jesus criminy. I think a glandular is needed. I would too. I would use a herbal for the pituitary, just a little bitty thing. Pituitaries are not very big, believe it or not. But upper circulation, get blood moving aggressively up in these tissues as well. Go after the GI tract aggressively. What else is always do we go after? Kidney and adrenals, always, always, no exceptions. Because how did the pituitary come down? How did the bowels go down? How did the thyroid or parathyroids go down? Wasn't the blood that brought them down. It was the lymphatic system. Now, I say that. You can come in, you can get some gnarly chemistry in the blood and definitely damage cells. No question about that, okay? But, as a rule, looking at how you get intracellular toxicity or acidosis, which is augmenting the function of the cell, you're talking about the lymphatic system. I'm currently trying to save funds for the 14-week protocol that will allow me to be able to order them via one of your specialists. I'm sorry for the length of my email, but I thank you for your time and any assistance you have offered me as I learn to heal myself and fulfill the purpose for me being here. I really want to be able to think clearly and raise my consciousness, and I like this, to raise above the current blockages. You know, thoughts are blockages. Emotions are blockages. Any obstruction to the flow of energy causes dis-ease. And you can say things that about consciousness. Any obstruction to the flow of consciousness. And a thought would be an obstruction to consciousness, awareness. We could look at it that way. Same thing with emotions, bad or good. Emotions are emotions. That's the astral body. So whether they're great emotions or sad emotions, still are emotions. I am on the 15th day of a raw food diet. Great. Now, pump it up and go to a 20-day grape diet. That'd be good. I'm eating mainly fruit. Yeah. But end up having an avocado and tomatoes. That sounds good. With a little Celtic salt in the PM. You crave salt, do you? I would say, what is the craving of salt, my dear ones? See, everybody's answered it right. Adrenal glands, adrenal glands. The craver of salt always has adrenal gland problems. How about if you crave sugars? Bungo problems. I have cravings. Fungus. I am struggling not to go down and get a salad and pita. It's the pita you really want, ain't it? Etc. Say, how about cheese? And I am taking a similar adrenal tincture, parasite tincture, smart, and heavy metal tincture. Okay, 2 years at this time by 3 times a day. I am also using up my vitality capsules, Dr. Jennifer Daniels, to stimulate my bowels. Yeah, I'd like to see what those are. Yeah, you don't want to stimulate bowels. You want to hug them and kiss them and enhance their function neurologically through the adrenals, get the lymph system moving through them so you can have absorption. Make sure you have only Cascara Sagrada in any bowel formula. No more any of the buckthorn or turkey rhubarb or aloes or anything like that. No. One movement daily and every other day. One movement daily to every other day with some small undigested food. Major brain fog. All right. I would get our stomach and bowel, stomach renew. I guess we change it to GI renew. But I would do number 2 or number 3. And make sure you work that for a while. Get your adrenals up, you're getting your neurotransmitters up. That'll enhance the autonomic nervous system. Get the lymphatic system, get the kidneys to filter. That'll help to soften up the bowel wall a little bit. It'll help peristalsis a lot better. Also, go to the parathyroid. Get that calcium utilization up, and therefore nerve transmission will be better. I'm going in the sauna for 1 to 2 times daily to try to help with the detox. Smart, as I do not sweat naturally. Thyroid. I am also drinking a lung, bladder, mugwort tea. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I'm the only one currently awake in my earthly family. Generally, that's the way it is. And it has been the separation from everyone under which painful, life-changing circumstances. Well, that's a part about getting into the self, and part about spending time alone. Everyone needs to spend time alone and go, I love myself, not narcissistically accepting of the self, realizing that nowhere can you go to hide from yourself. You can't bring a husband, a wife, children, family, mommy, daddy, nobody around you. Those are other souls on their journeys as well. You're on your own journey, totally alone. But then, if there's only the one, isn't the one totally alone? I'd say so. So, who does that make you as the alone? Interesting. Never sell yourself short. Every one of you. Remember, every one of you come out of the one. You're beautiful. You're free. You're only using these bodies. You're only using your thoughts and your emotions to play on the stage of life. If you're tired of playing on the stage of life, wake up. I'm thankful for this. I seek to experience the joy, love, and connectedness with all. That's the ironic part of this. When you let go of everything, you become one of the all. Divine Creator in me continues to heal me while I'm on this planet, and then I'm ready to go. Private. Oh. Well, I don't know if I want me to read that or not. All right, so here's a look at her eyes. If this is a male, you have pretty feminine eyes. All right, so what do we see? We see a blue eye, right? All right, so what's all the green, yellow? That's subacute lymphatic stagnation. So very hard for me to see. Inspector. Whoa. Still hard for me to see, honey. These are not good enough for me to see worth a hoot. Can't see a little bit of left lower rib cage, left breast areas, but hard for me to see. I'm going to suggest you have sulfur around the bowels. You have heavy subacute lymph stagnation around them. You're very malabsorbed. I can tell you that right now. Take a look at that heavy ring. I don't know if you can see it from there, but heavy yellow ring. That could be sulfur as well around that, or heavy subacute lymph stagnation around the gut wall. Major malabsorption there. Definitely pituitary, definitely chronic on the right side. Matter of fact, you're getting in some chronic lymph up in the sinus area. Also going back to the right cerebellum, my dear. You have some chronicness going on to the cerebellum. That could lead you to equilibrium, dizzy, vertigo things with that. Hard to see the left side cerebellum. Looks like some things, but hard to see there. Thyroid left side for sure, upper neck left side, bladder I think, I'm doing my best here with that, left hip, matter of fact maybe left ovary, right side bladder, could be tailbone but probably bladder, little kidney, definitely adrenals involved, groin involved, hip involved, right side, gallbladder involved, right side, right lower rib cage involved, skin, chronic skin involvement. That's just from these pictures from that sort of thing. Iris is fun, ain't it? That's why I like our iridology class. Fun.
Oh, correction. 22,451, including your penalty. 22,451.
Junior side, 27,277, including your penalty. 27.277, including your penalty. Senior side, 23,962, 23.9